You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network.
Cardi B versus Tasha K. No, it's not deja vu. It's actually something that happened last night on X's Spaces. Cardi B was already unleashing when it comes to people dragging her into her baby's father, Stefan Diggs' legal trouble, which then turned into her attacking Tasha K because Tasha K was covering and talking about some of the allegations against Stefan. And Christian Keys, you remember Christian Keys? He's now breaking his silence on Tyler Perry and apparently accusing Tyler Perry of, first of all, trying to have his name removed from a show that he's written and produced, and claims the show got weird when Tyler took it over. Let's first start off with this Cardi B and Tasha K story. The reason why I'm even talking about this is because we've covered the saga that is Cardi B and Tasha K's legal issues. Well, this has nothing necessarily to do with their legal issues. It's their ongoing dispute of just drama from years and years and years. And as you know, Cardi B did win a lawsuit against Tasha where she's now owed millions of dollars. Has she been paid any of those millions of dollars? Well, probably not anything close to the full payment. But it turned really nasty and ugly on X's Spaces yesterday. I can't even play for you because it would take me this entire day. I would be here all day editing the amount of cuss words from Cardi B on her Spaces. But shout out to our friends over at Hot New Hip Hop. They help us summarize some of what played out yesterday. They said Cardi B previously filed a defamation lawsuit against Tasha K and is still trying to get her judgment from the case. They said Cardi B has been going at Tasha K on social media after the blogger seemingly claimed that she might be facing witness intimidation charges over a claim that she contacted an alleged victim of her boyfriend, Stefan Diggs. Tasha initially made the allegation in a post on X, formerly Twitter. Even though Tasha didn't mention Cardi by name, her move still prompted the rapper to hop on X Spaces and set the record straight. I feel like Cardi was on Spaces yesterday all day. Even at one particular point, I went in just to see what was happening. I was like, why is she on Spaces? So after denying the claim, Cardi warned Tasha K about finding legal loopholes to harass her. Tasha still, because one of the stipulations of that lawsuit that Cardi won was the fact that Tasha could not mention Cardi in a derogatory way. So Cardi feels as if Tasha is now focusing on people that are close to her and covering those stories. So after denying the claim, Cardi warned Tasha K about finding legal loopholes to harass her. Tasha still owes Cardi millions of dollars from the rapper's long-running defamation case against her. You're going to be in your effing hospital bed owing me, B, she said. This was Cardi. Before labeling her an ugly B word, which Tasha, from what I could recall last night and watching this story play out, called Cardi B out for the things that she said about black women over the years. Tasha responded in a message to her followers describing herself 100% authentic. She says, my original face, my original hair and hairline. It will always stay like this. My original body. I love being black. I love being a dark-skinned black woman. I love having a big round nose. I love how it shines when I'm on camera, she said. We can actually play Tasha's audio just because I don't think she cusses as much as Cardi in her Spaces.
Vulnerability, I think it's normal to show vulnerability. So I love getting on live. I ain't gonna say I love getting on live crime, but I love when I f up. I love when I'm emotional. I love when I'm happy. I love when I'm sad. Y'all get to see all parts of me. You know what I'm saying? And it's all parts of my 100% authenticity, my original face, my original hair and hairline. Original, and it will always stay like this, my original body. I love being black. I love being a dark-skinned black woman. I love having a big round nose. I love how it shines when I'm on camera from being drunk. Like, I love all of these. My husband loves to rub noses with me. My kids give me nose rubs. Like, I love everything.
So I feel as if she's basically saying that Cardi B doesn't. That's why Cardi B did all the things that she did to herself. Cardi then did actually get on Spaces again to respond in regards to those comments. So they continue. It says, Cardi fired back by arguing that her insult had nothing to do with skin color, because that was the connotation that Tasha was trying to run with. She says, don't be trying to use your skin color. When somebody says that you're ugly, it's not because of your effing skin color, B word. It's because you're effing ugly, she said. Don't put that ish on your effing skin color, because there's too many bad brown B words, and I've effed a lot. She says, so don't start with the race baiting ish. You see why I can't play the audio for you? So they then go into Stefan Diggs and what's been going on with Stefan Diggs. Look, I will say this, because this is the only reason why I'm doing the video. It's not really to even talk about what they were saying back and forth, because they're just taking digs at each other. They're just arguing. There really is no real substantial element to talk about here. They don't like each other. They'll never like each other. Is Tasha trying to bait her into something? Very possible. Does Tasha get attention from connecting herself to Cardi B? Is that why she decided to take this all the way to the courts? Very possible. A lot of people now know who Tasha K is because Cardi B decided to sue her, and major outlets decided to cover the lawsuit. Not surprised. Cardi B is huge. I just wish, after how many years of Cardi being famous, that Cardi B would just let her legal team handle whatever it is. I hate the fact that Cardi B, who is a global superstar, you just came back from performing in Saudi Arabia. You're on X Spaces. I wish more artists, and I say this all the time when covering people like Nicki Minaj or covering Cardi B, or anyone of this level of success, I wish you guys would take a note out of Beyonce's book. Beyonce, at this particular point in her life and career, responds to no one. And if she does, it's musically or legally. And that is the reason why I said I need to talk about this, because it had no, I could care less what Tasha has to say, what Cardi has to say in regards to this, because they just don't like each other. They've taken their jabs. Neither one for me are perfect at all. Nicki Minaj, neither. But what I don't understand, when you reach this level of success, I understand why Tasha does it, because Tasha gets paid off the clicks and views and interaction. She gets more notoriety, more attention by being associated with this. Now we're talking about it. The reason why we're even doing the video is not just because it's Tasha K, it's because Cardi's attached to the story. And you would think, and I get it, Cardi's very sensitive. We've talked about this endlessly for years now. She's very sensitive. But I wish that she would have some sort of buffer. Because look, and I know Stefan Diggs is your man. If you were my partner, I would be like, girl, don't respond. Don't go on social media. But he really can't say much of anything either, because he's in all the blogs too for legal trouble. And Cardi, I just look, I'm like, I get it. At the end of the day, we can't change anything. We can't change the fact that you have a kid with this guy and he has a couple of kids that happen around the same time. Look, that's a whole other issue. Look, your life, your choice. But I wish you would stop responding to the internet. Because by you responding, they know how to get at you. They know what's going to trigger you. And every time I say this or do a video talking about this, because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this particular point, I wish that you would actually learn just to stop responding. Respond through your success. You have a tour about to come up. You just had a baby. I don't understand how people even have the time. You got 4 kids. You got a tour coming up. You got music to sell. You got a new album. I would not pay attention to it. Pay attention to the love. Because if you really did the math on the amount of love and positivity that you have around you, that would outweigh the negativity. And I get it. We all have our moments where we get wrapped up in one stupid comment. But do you see me respond to every single stupid comment? When I do this video, I will do this video and I'll be on to the next. I will respond to the first couple of comments and then I'm moving on to the next. I know you have plenty to move on to next. You got kids, you got a boyfriend, you got this, you got that, you got a tour, you're going to be in rehearsals. It's the new year. And then there's everything that's going on politically. There are bigger fish to fry than Tasha K, or what social media users are saying about Stefan Diggs. She even responded at one particular moment, and I get this because it's defamatory, talking about her father and accusing her father of similar allegations that Nicki Minaj's husband has. I just have to use that as an example because we can't say certain words here on YouTube. I just wish that you would let your legal team handle anything that could even go to that vein of anything. Because even that, suing gives notoriety. We just saw that with Megan Thee Stallion and the civil lawsuit that she had. But before we move on, I had to report to you, Red Media US on Twitter, aka X, reported that Tasha K has deleted all of the tweets she made harassing Cardi B, including the photo of Stefan Diggs she used as a profile picture. Just wanted to give you that other update. So did Tasha just do that to spark some sort of reaction from Cardi B? Very possible. And Cardi B falls for it every single time. So that's it. That's all. But let's move on. Let's talk about Christian Keys. We've been covering the last couple of lawsuits against Tyler Perry. And every time we talk about Tyler Perry and these allegations that he's facing, as you know, there's a $260 million lawsuit from Derek Dixon. Now, Mario Rodriguez, who was in the Madea Halloween movie, is suing Tyler Perry, accusing him of similar allegations for $77 million. Those two lawsuits are being represented by the same attorney. Sidebar, did you guys realize that the Will Smith lawsuit, which for those that have been wanting me to talk about this or cover this, the reason why I haven't talked about it is because based off the lawsuit, and then I even watched a video that Law and Crime did, based off the lawsuit, I'm like, okay, so what exactly are the allegations against Will? But I guess we'll have to wait and see if more will come out in regards to this complaint. That's the only reason. But the same attorney that's representing the Tyler Perry accusers are representing this violinist. Just important to know. But every time I talk about Tyler Perry, people will say Christian Keys has been really quiet since coming out a couple of years ago at this particular point, accusing a high-powered person in Hollywood of sexually harassing him for years. And he said that he had audio and like he would go into certain meetings with this person and have this evidence. Then all of a sudden it went quiet because a lot of people thought that he was going to speak out more, reveal more. Everyone assumed, though, that it was Tyler Perry. At no particular point did he confirm that it was Tyler Perry, though. So a lot of people assumed that whoever it was, he got some sort of settlement and he stopped talking about it. As you know, Christian Keys is an actor, but he's also a writer and a producer. And his show, All the Queen's Men, I believe it's called. A lot of you said that you love that show. That's with Eva Marcel. A lot of people say they love the show. Well, that show was written by Christian Keys. So now, yesterday, he dropped some tea that Tyler Perry, I guess when Tyler Perry took it over, he said things started to get weird, but then he also tried to take Christian Keys' credit away, which is an important thing to note. Because so many people always say Tyler Perry is such a great guy. You saw after the recent lawsuit, Fantasia came out and said he was a great guy. He did this for me. And now I'm starting to wonder if some of the things that Tyler Perry does that ends up getting the headlines, I wonder if some of that is intentional to distract. Because one of the things I've always said, because, you know, people criticize Tyler Perry for the quality of his writing and the wigs in his movies and things like that, and just the way things are edited. And I said, I wish that he, you know, the same way that he likes to invest in Black actors, I wish he would do the same when it comes to Black creators. That's important to note based off of what Christian Keys says. So let's take a look at what he said on his, I believe it was Instagram Live.
Season 3 is when All the Queen's Men got weird and dudes start getting with dildos and all that weird shit. I'm not mad about not being there no more. Because, I mean, the studio tried to steal my Created by credit. So, like, they posted, even this week, you know, end of the year, la-da-da-da-da, and you post my show like that's your show. It's you putting the show out there, but you're also the same studio, Tyler Perry Studios, that removed my Created by credit, and I had to call a union to have them make you force TPS to put it back on there. So, I'm not sad that my show isn't there anymore. After season 5, it won't be there anymore, and I won't have to deal with that shady, corny kind of leadership over there that would dare. Why try to, you got 16, 17 shows. I got one. Let me have credit. My contract says I get credit. Why your corny ass trying to steal my credit? Because you can't write like me.
He said, because you can't write like me. And a lot of you love All the Queen's Men. I've never watched it. However, what stood out to me in this situation, and look, I know a lot of people are going to think, oh, Christian Keys is talking, so is he talking about these recent accusations against Tyler? No, he's talking about Tyler not giving him credit, which is so interesting to me because when you think about how Tyler started his career, you would think that he would be such a supporter of up-and-coming writers and would give them a platform. But he loves to say, I write all my stuff. I do this, write it, I direct it all myself. And so many people ask, we wish you would stop. We wish you would stop. And I don't understand, and I've said this so many times when talking about Tyler Perry, yes, we love the fact that you support these Black actors and actresses and you give them opportunities that no one else would give them. But is that intentional? Is it so that you can sort of weaponize your power over some of these actors, which is what he's being accused of in some of these lawsuits? But I never understood why he wouldn't do the same when it comes to Black writers and female writers and things like that. Because if anything, either way, it's going to make you look better. It's going to make your brand look better. People are still going to think, wow, this is a Tyler Perry production. It's gotten so much better. And then you see the byline, you're like, oh, he's gotten other writers. But I just don't understand in 2025, as someone that has come from nothing as an up-and-coming writer, why you would not be an advocate for someone like Christian Keys and making sure that he has his credit. Him having credit doesn't take anything away from you. A percentage? You're still going to get a huge percentage from producing this show. But what also stood out to me was say that things started to get weird based off of what Tyler would do. Because Tyler does weird things. When you look at some of his other writing, people are like, his writing is so weird in a lot of ways. And then when you think about the things that he's being accused of in these lawsuits, then you're just like, maybe Tyler is weird. And maybe some of Tyler's giving back to these actors and actresses is it's performative and it's not genuine and it's not from a genuine place. And I've said this before in covering the most recent lawsuit. I said, does he get off from having this power over them in regards, and that's why you probably won't hear from allegedly other accusers if there are any. You're not going to hear from other accusers because they want to be able to continue to work. And when someone needs someone, very much like we were talking about Diddy, and I'm not saying that Tyler's Diddy, but I'm just giving you the mentality of what these abusers do. Give you just enough, but not enough for you to be independent. A real leader, a real person that is wanting you to have success on your own is going to give you all the things that you need in order to you could create your own. Because it doesn't take away from what they have and what they have going on. Tyler Perry has a whole studio. He's a billionaire. He has everything. But has he created other filmmakers? Has he given actors an opportunity to go and work for other studios? Some might say yes. Because now Tyler Perry has paid you a certain amount. Now can you go to the other studio and ask for that certain amount? I don't know. That's a question I would want to ask Taraji P. Henson. Or is that only happening when you work with Tyler Perry? And some of these other actors, and Taraji P. Henson is not going to be beholden to a Tyler Perry because she already has her own catalog. But some of these other actors, some of these good-looking male actors that always continuously work with Tyler Perry, because some of them, maybe that's the only place that's going to give them the gig. There aren't a lot of opportunities, especially for people of color. Or maybe the acting isn't that great and Tyler Perry just thinks that they're cute and giving them the opportunity. I'm speculating here. I'm not saying that these are facts. I'm just based off of what the accusations are. But one of the things that stood out to me with the Christian Keys of it all is the fact that you came from nothing, Tyler. Why wouldn't you want someone that you've worked with? That's the other thing. Christian Keys and Tyler Perry have worked with each other for years, all the way to the stage plays. So it's so interesting to me that he wouldn't want to give him the credit. Some speculate, and we're just speculating. I'm not saying that this is fact, that when Christian Keys came out and people assumed that it was Tyler, and Christian never denied it. He never said that it wasn't Tyler. Some feel like maybe this was the get back at Christian in regards to taking his credit away. Who knows? Who knows? The multi-million-dollar lawsuit that Misa Hilton brought against her 30-year friendship with Mary J. Blige has been dismissed. Now Misa Hilton is releasing a statement. Not only that, Real Housewives of Potomac star Monique Samuels is documenting abuse, physical abuse, in her relationship with Chris Samuels in her new book. So, Real Housewives of Potomac, you may have seen the preview for next week's episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac. You may have also seen our recap of the show. If you haven't, be sure to check that out. It's like 2 hours of just us unpacking everything in regards to Real Housewives of Potomac, including Katie Rose and her most recent, I don't know if we want to say overdose, but apparently some sort of reaction to her taking an ecstasy pill and having a seizure. She's since returned to social media. Let's continue to pray for Katie and not ask her to return to Real Housewives of Potomac. That is not a place or a space for someone going through what she's going through. But speaking of going through something, as you know, Real Housewives of Potomac star Monique Samuels has returned to the show, and this last week's episode was her talking and promoting her new book, where she's talking about her life and she's talking about the things that she's gone through. Well, now we're finding out more details in regards to physical abuse that she experienced in the marriage. And I feel like we heard about this before, and you guys will remind me in the comment section. I feel like she's talked about this or insinuated more about this. And now I'm glad she's talking about this, because it does make me look at the relationship very differently. So shout out to our friends over on X and on Instagram. The girls are fighting. They write this up and they say, Real Housewives of Potomac star Monique Samuels details physical abuse in marriage to Chris Samuels in her new book. In her new book, Real Housewives of Potomac star Monique Samuels describes a rare but terrifying moment in her marriage to Chris Samuels when a verbal argument escalated in front of family and friends. Now when we think about season 5 of the reunion and Giselle, and I know you can feel what you want to feel about Giselle talking about the way that he came across to her made her a little frightened. When you hear this story, then it kind of goes like, well, she probably had every right to be. And it makes me wonder if she knew, or did the Potomac streets know about an incident like this, because this happened in front of people. So Samuel writes that after exchanging heated words, she threw a half-filled plastic water bottle during the fight. She says that Chris Samuels then chased her, wrapped his hands around her neck, lifted her off the floor, and pushed her through an open patio door until her back hit a second-floor balcony railing. She says that she did not fight back out of fear of falling. According to Samuels, he released her after her guests began yelling, later apologized to those who witnessed the incident, and left the home that night. Love Letters from a Version of Myself, a memoir of self-discovery, transformation, and healing is out now. Here's the thing, and I've seen the comment section sometimes are so ignorant, and just, if you don't have anything kind to say, I think we need to start normalizing, just don't say anything. You don't have to leave a comment. You could maybe say that comment to your friends and family. I've seen people make comments in regards to this story saying, well, she threw something at him first. So that constitutes him, who is, if you look at the height difference between them and the size difference between them, that constitutes him hemming her up by the neck. And 9 times out of 10, this is not the first or the last time something physical happened between these two. Monique, I can only imagine that in this book, and writing this book has been very healing and getting out of that relationship, because I don't know if I even knew that there was anything that there was physical abuse. But look, we should also normalize that you leave a marriage when there's also emotional abuse, because that sometimes the scars heal, but those emotional scars do not. So now I might be interested to read this book, Monique. Because what else are you sharing in this book? I wonder if she also talks about her time on Real Housewives of Potomac and maybe about season 5 and her perspectives. Does she share also details about things that went on at that reunion that she talked about that were left out? And that was part of the reason why she decided not to return to Potomac, was because of how the reunion was edited and it turned out. Who knows? Now I might be a little interested. Before I was like, I'm not that interested in another Housewives book. But I don't think the episode this week made it interesting enough. And it probably would have been a little bit more interesting if she had talked about what went on between her and Chris during that scene, as opposed to that love letter to herself. Because they made it comedy, the book. And that's the problem with reality television. You can't control the narrative. I'm sure she probably shared so many other things. Maybe she did talk about this during this party. And they decided to focus on something a little bit lighter. Who knows? But this is what we're hearing. It's coming out from Monique Salmon's new book. Again, Monique's new book, Love Letters from a Version of Myself, a memoir of self-discovery, transformation, and healing, is available right now. We have another update. Let's talk about Mary J. Blige. So if you've been under a rock, Mary J. Blige and one of her former friends, I don't want to say best friend because we, as the world, probably looked at them as very close. They've been close for 30 years. But obviously, they were definitely friends for 30 years. You may recall we did a video talking about Misa Hilton suing Mary J. Blige. I think it was like for $5 million, accusing Mary J. Blige trying to usher away her artist, the rapper Vado. And you guys can get into it about Vado and why they're fighting over Vado. I'm not getting into that, okay? I'm not familiar with the music, okay? But there were a lot of jokes about that. But also a lot of people were upset, like, wow, not these two friends of 30 years falling out over business. Well, we did a short form video letting you guys know what happened, so I want to update you guys in long form when it comes to this lawsuit being dismissed by the courts without prejudice, meaning that Misa could end up refiling it. I don't think she will, just especially with what the court said. So according to TMZ, they got their hands on the update. They said Mary J. Blige can bank on at least a partial victory now that the lawsuit filed by her former sidekick, really, Misa Hilton, has been dismissed in a New York court. I want to just change this up because some of these blogs and media outlets will downplay Misa Hilton. Misa Hilton was more than just a sidekick to Mary J. Blige. She was one of the architects when it comes to Mary J. Blige's aesthetic and style. And also Little Kim. Let's not downplay Misa Hilton and the role she played during that era. She's also, as you know, the baby's mother, one of Diddy's kids, Justin Combs. So according to the court docs obtained by TMZ Hip Hop, Mary J. Blige and her legal squadron, they refer to them as, were granted the motion to dismiss the lawsuit Hilton filed back in July of 2025 without prejudice, which means Hilton can still pursue sanctions against the megastar singer if she chooses, but her lack of movement after Blige labeled the lawsuit frivolous suggests that there will be no more drama. The court took a sideswipe at Hilton for filing a lawsuit with inflammatory claims, only to abandon them when the pressure was on, and warned her legal team to heed the message should they refile in the future. So basically, the court was saying, all this inflammatory language, you had all these claims against Mary J. Blige and other individuals, and you didn't follow up when you felt the pressure of, okay, now you need to follow up, you need to do your due diligence. So they said Hilton accused Mary J. Blige of tampering with her record label's affairs, including her top client, rapper Vado. But Blige fired back at Hilton and said that she was operating a phony company. Not phony company. So are they saying her record label is not real? It doesn't have an LLC, doesn't have an EIN number? Is that what they're saying?
That is funny.
That's what it sounds like. As you know, the two were friends for 30 years before the legal battle. Our friends over at The Breakfast Club, Lauren LaRosa, got an exclusive statement from Misa Hilton, and this happened yesterday, so this is part of the reason I wanted to give you guys an update. So, according to Lauren LaRosa on X, she says, I just received a statement from Misa Hilton on the dismissal of her lawsuit against Mary J. Blige, her former friend of 30 plus years. Not former friend, that's sad. But can you come back from a friendship? I mean, 30 years, but can you get back after suing your friend for millions of dollars? But then also, your friend also Misa feels like that Mary J. Blige was dishonest to her, according to the lawsuit. So this was Misa Hilton's statement. She says, over the years, there have been people very close to me who have hurt me deeply, and I chose not to pursue them even when I could have, and maybe should have. Okay. That reflection led me to ask myself why I would choose a different path for someone I once called my sister. So, I guess we can call her besties. Through this experience, I learned that mixing family, friendship, and business is not always wise, and that even in painful moments, there are meaningful lessons to be learned. While I don't agree with everything that was done, I chose peace. This entire ordeal has taken a significant toll on my mental health and has caused me to reflect deeply on life, memories, relationships, and their true purpose and meaning. I pray for healing for all of us. Here's the thing. After we reported on the initial lawsuit, it did sound like, okay, they decided they're friends. She has this artist. It sounded like Mary J. Blige was kind of coming in and trying to woo Vado away. Because remember, the claim said that Vado went to Misa with the concerns that they were trying to woo him away and he was being invited to meetings, allegedly, without Misa being there. So I don't know if there's any truth to this. I don't know if Misa just didn't have the means, the wherewithal, the legal representation to actually show up and carry this through. But it's interesting, she says, over the years, there have been people very close to me who have hurt me deeply, and I chose not to pursue them even when I could have and maybe should have. So it sounds like the friendship is over, but it also sounds like she just did not want to go through this legal battle. Maybe her attorneys were like, this is going to be an uphill climb. It sounds like she was dragging her feet when handling the logistics of carrying this lawsuit through. Or maybe she just didn't have the evidence to prove her case. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen, because that's important to note too. And I'm not taking either side of this. I don't know neither one of these people. But what I'm saying is maybe she just didn't have the evidence to prove her point, besides the fact that, maybe I don't have a legitimate company. Maybe I didn't have the contracts with Vado and it was just spoken. So who knows? Who knows? But she probably was also thinking I could trust my friend around my artist, and only to come to find out she couldn't. But who wants to sign to either one? I think in this day and age, artists do not need to sign to another major artist. And look, we've seen this before where up-and-coming artists try to sign to another artist, and it just never usually works out. Because a lot of the times, and I think even Matthew Knowles may have said this, or one of these former managers say, you don't want to sign to another major artist because a lot of times they're focused on their careers and they're not really focused on yours. Maybe. This is unfortunate, 30-year friendship, but some people stay in long friendships like this for years, not because they were healthy and not because that there was a real deep bond. Sometimes you've looked past a lot of stuff, and 30 years later, you're like, yeah, enough of this. Maybe. On either side. It could be the way that Mary J. Blige feels. It could also be the way that Misa feels. But you never know. Maybe with this being dismissed, Mary J. Blige just announced that she's got this new partnership with Lifetime. She's got a new movie coming out starring, who's in it? I know Gabourey Sidibe is directing it. And I know Tisha Campbell is in it as well. So it's coming to Lifetime. So Mary J. Blige had a good day yesterday in regards to what's been going on with her. Unfortunately, the friendship of 30 years is over. Maybe Lil' Kim can bring them back together because all of them were friends. Or maybe not. Charisse, are you okay? You are not. You are not okay, because it seems as if former Real Housewives of Potomac OG Charisse Jackson Jordan is on a press tour when it comes to her son's sex life. Not only that, Giselle and her bestie, regular Robin, are also speaking out in regards to what Charisse had to say on the Carlos King interview. Don't forget, the Kempire After Dark live show returns to New York City on Friday, March 13th at the Green Room 42 for a night of hot topics and tea being spilled. You never know what's going to be spilled at one of these shows. Don't forget, you can get meet and greet tickets, but if you're not in the New York City area and planning not to come and you want to be a part of the show, get a live stream ticket. That will be available for you for a week after the show. So make sure you buy your ticket now. More ticket information will be available in the description. So it was just last week that we did a video talking about Charisse's interview with Carlos King because she seemed to be having some sort of regrets might be the best word, in regards to how she reacted on the show and maybe some of the backlash that she was receiving on social media when it comes to Ashley having sexual relations, because she admitted that they did, with Sharice's son. And look, I understand that people do not like Ashley, including myself. And I also understand Ashley also responded saying that it was two consenting adults. She didn't break the law. And I'm just like, okay, who said you broke the law? Well, Sharice did say that she felt like it was almost incestuous that Ashley would have relations with her son. And I already told you I wasn't falling for it. I felt like what was happening with Sharice was the fact that she was responding to the backlash and she felt like she needed to backpedal. Now she's on a press tour. She did an interview on the damn news, y'all. She went on the news and did an interview talking about this situation. And I didn't see the full interview. She could have been promoting something else, but what is she promoting? What is she promoting besides her stint on Real Housewives of Potomac? This is why I said what I said when it came to that Carlos King interview she did. I said, this is just her way. She wants to make it seem like I'm an OG. I just like filming with my friends and blah. She likes the attention. So she, no matter which way she gets the attention, that's how she's going to do it. It's very much like Tamar. Bad or good, she's going to get the attention. Why are you on a press tour when it comes to your son's sex life? Now she's claiming that she hasn't even had a conversation with Jackson about this. But you're on the news talking about this, but you haven't had a conversation with him about this? Okay, let's just take a look at what she had to say on the 5 o'clock news.
Next question. I've heard from you. I've heard from Ashley. What is Jackson saying about all of this?
This is the funny thing, too. Like, I have not asked Jackson.
Really?
I have not.
Why not?
You know what? I just think it's his personal business. I think that you have to respect.
Pause. It's his personal business that you're on the 5 o'clock news, Good Day DC, talking about and perpetuating. We would not even be talking about this situation between Ashley and Jackson. How many weeks later? Okay, a couple of weeks later. If it wasn't for you. It's not even Ashley we can be mad at this particular point. You are perpetuating this story for now. It's going to become a big thing. It's going to then be brought to the reunion. It could have been a blip at the reunion. Now it's going to be a longer conversation at the reunion because of you, Jackson's mother. And now you're saying that you haven't even had a conversation with him about it. You don't need to. He can see everything that you think on the YouTube streets and now on the 5 o'clock, well, not 5 o'clock because it's this Good Day DC, at the 9 a.m. news because of mama. Embarrassed.
People's boundaries. And again, Ashley crossed the boundary because he didn't want anybody to know. You know what I'm saying? I think it's unfair for you and I to have a relationship and you decide to go on a national platform and talk about it without my consent. If it happened, I still want to be in denial about it. So, you know, I haven't asked him. And at this point, it's kind of like...
If you really wanted to be in denial about it, would you keep talking about it to anyone that would listen? You went on the YouTube streets and now you're on Good Day DC talking about it. I wanted to be in denial about it. I don't want to believe that this even happened. If I wanted to be in denial about something, I'm not talking about it. I'm not talking about it on YouTube. I'm not talking about it on Good Day DC. I'm probably not even talking about it with my friends. I'm probably not even having a conversation with myself because I'm like, I'm in denial. No, you're not in denial.
I don't want to know the truth, you know, because I just don't want to believe that I had a friend who I love. I love Ashley, you know, so I don't want to believe like that actually happened.
Homegirl says, I love Ashley. She's definitely changed her tune since Ashley came out and basically, she didn't say her name, but basically was like, you know, if you want to have your 5 minutes of fame, basically. Now you love Ashley? You were talking about how Ashley was fake, phony, a fraud, a liar. And this is what she does. You love Ashley?
Sleep with their friend. We're friends. Their friend's son. You know, it's just, it's tacky. But again, Carlos, I really didn't believe the story. And I think, honestly, part of me wants to be in denial about it, honestly, because I don't want to believe that she could be that low to want to use my son for a storyline, because when Andy, I saw Watch What Happens Live, he asked her, did I know? And then she said something about, something about if she looked at her camera lights in her house. So now you're implying that you done had my son in my house. See, this is the shit you should have said when we were sitting in the restaurant if you wanted a reaction. Not, Jackson kind of kissed me. That, type of thing. But now it's a whole, it's crazy.
Okay, Sharice.
I'd rather not know. To me, it's, if it did happen, like I would never do it. But if it happened, she should have went to her grave with it. Like you were willing to risk friendship, and you're not even with him now. You're moved on with someone else. So what was the whole gain in putting this out here 2 years later? Okay, well, you're...
And now you are perpetuating it even more so that you could get yourself on Good Day DC. Look, I hate to tell you guys, but I also love to tell you guys, I told you so. For those that were just saying, Ashley's wrong, I understand. Sharice, I completely understand where Sharice is coming from, and I can understand her delayed response. Her delayed response is convenient, okay? Her delayed response is convenient. This is the only reason why anyone's talking to her right now. Poor thing. Poor thing, Sharice, and you were lovely when I met you, but girl, pitiful. But we're not done. Giselle and Regular Robin got up on their podcast, rightfully so. They talk about things like this, and they are talking about what went down. Sidebar, Giselle did also talk about, we didn't talk about this, Pastor Jamal Bryant and people slamming his now wife, which is like a doppelganger for Giselle. She talked about why exactly did he decide to talk about this in front of the church. She said that he should have done this at a Bible meeting, because a lot of you are criticizing the dress that she had on, saying that it was see-through. It was not see-through. And so Pastor Jamal Bryant decided to go in front of the congregation and defend his wife. Fine. Look, I can't cover every story, y'all, but here we are. We just talked about it. We can continue talking about it in the comment section. Do you think people are just exaggerating? How do you feel? Do you think that he should have been talking about it on a Sunday in front of the church? I don't know. I believe it wasn't even on a Sunday. It was on a Wednesday. Who cares? All right. So Giselle and Regular Robin had this to say about Sharice and Sharice's recent interview with Carlos.
Let's talk about Sharice. Okay.
Oh, yes. Our good friend Sharice. Yes.
Sharice, I don't know what happened. She had a bad night. She woke up. She decided to call Carlos King and say, hey, I got some things to say. I need content. So
let's get into it.
Do you want to talk about it first, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, so I'll talk about it first. So, I want to talk about the Ashley and Jackson of it all.
Okay.
Because so I saw there was some discourse prior to Sharice talking to Carlos. Maybe she had made some okay, so I guess the episode aired where Ashley talked about how she kissed Jackson, right? Then, so after the episode, it seems like people were maybe criticizing Sharice's response. So Sharice must have gone on, maybe responded to some comments and pretty much said that she sees things differently and, there's no friends in this business or whatever. So it seems like she was upset about the revelation that Ashley and Jackson had some sort of interaction, inappropriate or whatever, sexual, physical interaction. And then Ashley kind of made it worse because I did see her Watch What Happens Live question where Andy asked about Jackson, and what I gathered from it was that a lot more happened. So it's like Ashley continued to kind of talk about what happened with her and Jackson. And pretty much from what I gathered from it was that they were intimate, sexually. Okay. And maybe that it's happened more than once. I don't know. So my thoughts, because I have a son. I mean, of course, he's just 17, so we're not quite there yet. But I'm trying to put myself in Sharice's shoes. I think the age gap here is just kind of changes things, right? So if I'm 60, my son is 27, and I have a friend that is, you know, in her 30s, mid 30s or whatever, that I probably more so look at as like a daughter or a niece than an actual, like, you know, friend. I don't know that I would be upset if she were intimate with my adult son. Especially my adult son who, like,
I don't know, because I've never been in this position and hope never to be in this position. But I probably would feel away. I don't think I would be calling the police. I definitely wouldn't be doing interviews about it. But I definitely would be like, that's uncomfortable. That's a little weird, especially because you've seen this kid grow up. I would feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I'm not going to cancel the friendship. However, not cancel the friendship. However, I see you. You get what I mean? Like, I see who you really are. And I probably would have some distance. But honestly, I think that probably would have been the cherry on top. I think we would have seen other behavior from Ashley. We have. That would make me say, I'm not featuring this person. Just that's me personally. I wouldn't be mad. I probably wouldn't, you know, dog her out. I probably would talk about it to my friends though. Like, can you believe she did that? Like, gross.
if I know that my son likes, you know, dates women and likes to like do whatever, you know, yeah, I don't know that I'm upset about it. What I would be upset about is if my friend chose to disclose that on national television. That's where I would have the problem. Where, especially if I'm not a main cast member of this show, my son has, you know, he's not on this show. Like there's like my son thinks he's living a private life. I think I'm living a private life. I'm not a housewife. It's not about my personal life. So that's where I would have the issue. If I were Charisse, the fact that Ashley chose to tell her about this, number one, she didn't need to tell her. It's not really like, that doesn't change anything. That's none of Charisse's business, what her adult son does. It's none of.
The other element here makes me wonder if, again, I already told you, it was a lackluster season. The OGs were feeling like they had to overproduce the season. You're clearly seeing this. They apparently filmed with Charisse multiple times. They even had this lunch with Charisse. It feels like this was a setup. So that is what Charisse should probably be more upset about, that they were sort of setting her up in order to utilize this 2-year-old T in order to tell her, embarrass her. I don't know. But am I surprised? This is another character flaw when it comes to Ashley Darby. She does these things. She has like no loyalty to anyone besides herself. But then when you look at some of what she's done and grown up with, you're like, okay, we get it. I completely get it.
Teresa's business, what adult Ashley does. Like she didn't need to tell her, period. She didn't need to know. But secondly, like to tell her on national television, I did not like that. I thought it was wrong. I thought it was unnecessary. If I'm Jackson, I'm probably pissed because I'm like, I'm not even on this damn show. Like, why are you even talking about me? So that's where I have the issue. But it seems like, I don't know, maybe Charisse is upset about that more so than the fact that they actually were intimate, the way that it was delivered to her. But I don't really know. I was kind of like disappointed that she chose to talk to Carlos King and kind of like air all that out and kind of like take it a lot farther. I don't really know where all of that energy came from. But it seems like maybe she just was kind of like, not blindsided, but I think the discourse online from the fans and how people reacted to it maybe caused her to look at things differently and get upset.
It's a new year, and I know it's a new you. And we've partnered with our friends over at Factor Meals yet again for the new year. Factor Meals, as you know, is a perfect option for those that don't want to cook, like I don't, but you also want healthy options. And they have a variety for you to choose from. So let's get started with the new year with our friends over at Factor. New year, big goals, no time to cook? Factor makes it easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs, so you can eat well without shopping or cooking. And I've talked to you guys before. I've spoken and gone through Factor meals with my own dietitian, and we've compared it to other meals, and this one has been a great option for me. So there's quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, or refined seed oils. You have 100 rotating weekly meals. Options include high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support. Because people forget this. I was just watching Dr. Frida. I don't know if you guys follow her on YouTube. She was talking about even if you're on GLP-1s, you need to be making sure that you are having a proper diet. It's not something that you can be on and just eat whatever you want. They also have some ready-to-eat salads. Plus, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery. You know, I use this, so I think you should too. Of course, I've gotten you a deal. Head on over to factormeals.com/Kempire50off and use code Kempire50off to get 50% off your first Factor box and plus free breakfast for 1 year. Please keep in mind, offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easier with Factor. More details on your discount and more will be available in the description.
So I don't know, but I know, if I'm 60, my son is 27, my friend is 37, I don't care what they do. I really don't. Yeah. But just don't talk about it on national television. It's nobody's business, especially when they're not cast members. Jackson's not a cast member. Charisse is a friend that popped in 3 times. Like, I thought that was tasteless of Ashley to do.
Okay. My thoughts are, I hear you, but I don't, that part, it's not I don't care about. What I care about today is Charisse. We discussed it on camera. Yes. Me, Ashley, Charisse. I personally thought when Ashley was in the process of mentioning it, I thought Charisse was going to flip a table, go the hell off, go crazy. I don't know, anything. None of that happened. Okay, great. Right. And so she's giving the same energy that.
This is also concerning because did Giselle know that Ashley was going to spill this tea at this lunch? And you said that you thought that she was going to have a bigger reaction. Did you guys plan for that to be a bigger reaction because the season was lackluster from the other people on the show? So you were trying to produce a moment? So, Charisse, you don't mind being used. So I know you don't really value a friendship with Giselle or Ashley, no matter what you say. But it definitely seems that it was a setup and they were expecting you to have a bigger reaction. And you didn't have that reaction.
That you just described, Robin, Jackson's grown. He can do what he wants, which he is. And so is Ashley. Ashley's a beautiful girl. And Charisse has for years made comments about Ashley being her daughter-in-law. And, right. They were flirty, and that would be so cute, blah, blah, blah. So there's no issue here. Okay.
Right.
Then when it was brought up again in a whole nother scene, Charisse had the same energy. She kind of thought it was funny. It was kind of cute, whatever. You can't then let the fans gas you up to then have a moment, to then have an issue off camera.
Right.
No, that's just, I think it's ridiculous. And then how I'm catching strays is beyond me. Okay. Right. And how Charisse is rewriting history is beyond me. And I'm not even going to get into the weeds of that because it's just actually no need. But it's crazy because Grace says to me when this all kind of hit, have you talked to Charisse? Why don't you just call her? And I was like, no, I haven't talked to Charisse. And she said, well, when was the last time you talked to her? And I said, let me think. And I said, you know what? We had filmed season 10. We had wrapped on it. Mm-hmm. And the week after, NECA invited me out to celebrate Charisse for Charisse's birthday. You were invited too, Kevin.
Yeah.
You couldn't make it. I could. So no cameras. I went to go celebrate Sharice. At the table was Nneka, Sharice, me, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we celebrated Sharice. Sharice had no smoke. She had no fire. We ate dinner. We left there, went to the club, took her to the club because she wanted to go dancing. No smoke, no fire. Sharice had a grand old time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know how then Giselle and Ashley, but I'll just speak for myself, are horrible people, bad friends, make up lies, wanted to push her out of Potomac. All these things that are simply not true.
Right.
Like,
that's the other element from the Carlos King interview, that she decided to reveal more information in regards to her tenure on Real Housewives of Potomac, and then throw Giselle under the bus, saying that she was jealous of Nene, wanted to be the Nene of Potomac, basically, or maybe the Nene of the network. She isn't. I would never associate Nene and Giselle. Here's the thing with this whole situation. I feel like I can see where Sharice might be, where they could have used Sharice and tried to have a moment. But I also understand where Giselle and Robin are coming from in regards to this, because it's just like, okay, well, these are the facts of the situation of, well, you didn't have a problem until people started reacting to this. And you were cool with Ashley. And now you're on a whole press tour. I think they're all wrong. You all tried to make a moment with this scene. It landed, it didn't land. And now Sharice is feeling like, oh my gosh, I look crazy. Your fault, Sharice. Let this be your last and only time on Potomac. And honestly, I feel like it's going to be, because now you don't really have a relationship with anybody on this cast. Yes, you have relationships, but are they going to want to film with you again? I don't think so.
no, that's just, I think it's ridiculous. And then how I'm catching strays is beyond me. Okay.
Right.
And how Sharice is rewriting history is beyond me. And I'm not even, we'll get into the weeds of that because it's just like actually no need. But it's crazy because Grace says to me when this all kind of hit, have you talked to Sharice? Like, why don't you just call her? And I was like, no, I haven't talked to Sharice. And she said, well, when was the last time you talked to her? And I said, let me think. And I said, you know what? We had filmed season 10. We had wrapped on it. And the week after, Nneka invited me out to celebrate Sharice for Sharice's birthday. You were invited too, Kevin.
Yeah.
You couldn't make it. I could. So no cameras. I went to go celebrate Sharice. At the table was Nneka, Sharice, me, Ashley. Well, we celebrated Sharice. Sharice had no smoke. She had no fire. We ate dinner. We left there, went to the club, took her to the club because she wanted to go dancing. No smoke, no fire. Sharice had a grand old time. So I just don't know how then Giselle and Ashley, but I'll just speak for myself, are horrible people, bad friends, make up lies, wanted to push her out of Potomac. All these things that are simply not true. So now that I know, Sharice, how you really feel, now that I know, I will govern myself accordingly. But because I've always cared about Sharice and I will continue to care about her, I wish her the best of luck. I want nothing but great things in her life, and God bless. But there's never been a moment for me to support Sharice, and I haven't done it. There's never been a moment for me to speak up for Sharice, and I haven't done it. So.
Yeah, I don't really know where all the energy towards you came from. I was very surprised to hear that. Very, very, very surprised to hear that. And then regarding the Ashley stuff, I know she said something like she thought it was a joke. She didn't believe it. And then I don't know, but I think I'm just thinking like maybe, a lot of times on the show, it's like you experience something and then you watch it back and then you have a different perspective, or somebody, says something to give you a different perspective and to make you think about things differently, so she could have changed her thought process about everything and probably maybe looked at it a little deeper, or maybe somebody, you know, said something that made her whatever, like think differently. But, I don't know. I mean, I wish I had like a little more insight to be able to say like, no, this is exactly what the issue was, especially with you. I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna have to call her and be like,
You call
what
her.
happened? And we spoke recently, very recently, and after the Ashley stuff, we spoke, and she didn't have anything negative to say about you. So I don't know how she got on that topic. No, I didn't watch the whole interview. I just saw clips, and I saw like the headlines where it was like, you know, Charisse says Giselle, you know, whatever, or she was implying, you know, some person, and it was clear that she was talking about you. And I'm like, I don't know where this came from. She's never, like, the thing that I didn't understand, she's never said anything like that to me. Like, never, you know, like, never. And then I know, like, you always vouched for Charisse. You always tried to get her included and spoke to production about, you know, let's include Charisse. And so I'm just like, I don't know where that came from, but I hate that we're here.
God bless her. God bless her. And
Yeah.
because if I know that I've been nothing but a friend to you, and then you just like make shit up in your head, I can't help you further, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
I mean, I can understand that. It's like, where do you go with that? I don't know. But it's unfortunate that it got there. But I don't know. My thought is just like, somebody must have just like said something that made her like.
And even if somebody did gas you up, you still have your own mind. You still have your own history. I have a 15-year history with Charisse, and last I checked, I did not do anything to her. So
yeah,
it is what it is. God bless her. I wish her nothing but greatness in life. Her and her whole family, like the kids, everybody. Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing. It's hard for me to trust Giselle because even when we go back to some of the issues she's had with other castmates, she's had that same stance. I've done nothing but be supportive of you. And we know, based on what we've seen and heard, like, no, you haven't. You have not been the best friend. However, in this Charisse situation, we've seen, and I've talked about this in the recent videos that I did on this, how Giselle has brought her around and weaponized her against Karen Huger, but she has constantly brought her around. We've seen her multiple times this season. It was at Giselle's events. And I do believe that she has asked production to include her. But I told you, after this particular situation and some of the things that she's accused Giselle of in that Carlos King interview, that said to me, like, we're never going to see Charisse again unless she makes it on through maybe like a Stacey, because she says that she's friendly with Stacey. She even tried to take credit for why Stacey is such a great housewife. Charisse, you're delusional. You're delusional. I think someone put a battery in your back, and maybe it was Carlos. Maybe it was Carlos that put the battery in your back. And that's why you did the interview. Now you're on Good Day DC, still talking about this and claiming that you didn't even talk about this with your son. Girl, get off our TV screens with this nonsense. Please. Please and thank you. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on what Charisse had to say, what regular Robin and Giselle had to say about this. I hope this is done. I mean, just put yourself in Jackson's place. If I was Jackson and my mother was on, yes, she's on reality television, but now she hasn't really been on reality television. She's just supposed to be having a good time with her friends. It really should not be a story or a headline. But now it is a story and a headline about my sex life. And he did not want to talk about this. Would you want, look, Ashley's a beautiful woman, but she's also weird. So would you want everybody to be talking about your sex life right now? No, it's weird. It's weird. And I blame Charisse. The Grand Dame is back. Yes, Karen Huger makes a surprise appearance at the Real Housewives of Potomac Season 10 reunion. And who got the seats next to Andy Cohen? It might or might not surprise you. Angel Massey did a few interviews this week while here for the reunion, and she's revealing that she felt like Ashley put out a dog whistle in regards to Bobby being an angry black man. Let's talk about the interviews that Angel Massey did this week. So Angel Massey, I had a feeling that either the reunion was being filmed this week or she was going to be Watch What Happens Live. It might be both. But she did quite a few different interviews, including one on the radio show Way Up with Angela Yee. We're going to play a part of the interview because she talks a little bit about some of the things that played out during the season that has gotten fans confused about how they feel towards Angel. We're going to play this under fair use for research and journalistic purposes. All right, let me play for you. I'm going to stop and go so that you guys can hear my thoughts on what she had to say.
Last episode, the trip to Colorado, I will say I think you really shined on that episode because it feels like, did it take a while, you think, to adjust and get your footing and how to handle and deal with situations?
Well, I couldn't tell if people were acting or if they were being real or what was really happening. And I think that when I finally, because you see a lot of these women meeting up to talk about me, right? And so I'm not apprised to that situation happening. And so when I see them in person and the energy is weird, I'm like, well, what's happening? But finally, Ashley tries to confront me with this whole eviction storyline. And that's really the first time, besides what Giselle did at dinner and Nevis, that somebody had said something to me, to my face. And so you see me reacting and you see me kind of taken aback. And then I'm like, oh, this is what's happening.
Well, let's talk about the eviction storyline that she had.
And as you can see, I arrived 2 hours late to Potomac and Pony because, number one, it wasn't in Potomac. It was almost at the top of Maryland. And it took us forever to get there because I made, in this new rental that we moved into, I made ham.
Was it at the top of Maryland? Is that closer to Carroll County where Dr. Wendy lives? Because remember, it was Wendy and Giselle hosting this event. Did they decide to have it at this particular space because it was closer for Wendy? Just asking the questions. I need to look at a map.
And made or from scratch cornbread and beans for the thing. So, I'm in a new house, I'm ordering stuff. I'm like really trying to make this effort to be there to show that I want to be a part of the group.
And they also said your husband, Bobby, didn't want to be there because when he was called, he was like,
yeah, he said, we'll get there when we get there. And I stand on that. And he should have said that. And they deserved it. They should have heard it. And then code switching Ashley is trying to dog whistle him being an aggressive black man. And I didn't appreciate that.
Okay.
She doesn't know him from Adam.
Yeah,
it's very nasty.
And I can feel that it's a party.
Okay, here's the thing. I agree with her because when we recapped that particular episode, we called that out because we were like, okay, Ashley, don't try and make it seem like Bobby is some sort of angry black man or that he's aggressive in any type of way because Bobby has never, based on what we've seen on the show, I don't know if there's been other instances, but based off of what they were talking about, I did not appreciate that. However, Angel, don't try to switch up on us now because the things that you were saying about Dr. Wendy, I forgot the exact wording that she used, but remember when she was speaking with her sister and she was describing Dr. Wendy and I forgot the person she referred to. I can't think right now, y'all. I'm doing this very late. However, but you remember the episode that I'm talking about and you will chime in the comment section. And a lot of people called you out for colorism. Just saying. So I kind of look at her like, okay, yes, two things can be true. She was wrong for that, and you were wrong for this. I didn't see this full interview, so I don't know if Angela asked her about that as well. But I just wanted to at least point that out. I agree with Angel, but also, Angel, we're still looking at you for the way that you decided to come at Dr. Wendy in regards to her looks and what you were comparing it to.
You don't have to be there.
No.
Like you can come late.
Yeah.
But it is okay to say, hey, we're running late.
Yeah.
When you know you're running late.
Well, here's the thing. Okay. I agree with you. I had what you didn't see is that two people had called me beforehand.
Okay.
Right before Kiarna called me. And then Kiarna was the third call. Uh-huh. So by the third call, we were like, we are on the way. You know what I mean? Everyone knew that we were running behind.
And in all fairness, I believe her with that. because nothing that they've given during the season, Bobby or Angel, has given frustrated. It sounded like they were frustrated. And I just, in that moment, I was like, okay, they're frustrated for a reason. We're watching an edited show. I think it's important to note that. And I'm glad she's clearing up. Well, 2 other people had called me. Now, this is the 3rd call from Kiarna. Guys, we will get there when we get there. I get that frustration. And that's the vibe that I got from that instance. To me, that wasn't even a big thing. I didn't even think that should even be brought up at the reunion. But maybe they will. I'm sure they will, just to clear that up and why Bobby responded the way that he did. And I hope that Angel calls Ashley out at the reunion for that comment.
Several people there and said we were running behind. So we were running behind.
Yeah.
But you know what? They
Happens
just
to me all the
wanted
time.
my ass to arrive early so that they could try to
Do you
shame
feel like
me
this is a
with that
hazing?
funky fish.
You feel like
know?
this is a hazing?
Absolutely.
You know, just this being your first season. It's like, okay, because one thing that has been said throughout the show is that they showed a whole montage of you saying, I just want to get to know the ladies better. I want to spend some time. And people were saying they didn't feel like you really did want to get to know them better.
Well,
So-
I did.
Okay.
I really did. And I tried hard. And I don't think that if I didn't want to get to know them, I wouldn't have invited them to my house more than one time after the first time when they acted up. Like, I wouldn't have shown up the way that I did. I wouldn't have tried so hard. And it's unfortunate because you don't, you know, it's only 44 minutes of the show. So you don't get to see scenes where I'm one-on-one with Stacey or where I'm one-on-one with Ashley, or where I'm inviting the women to more things than just
Did you mean
my
to call her
home.
Ashy? No, I'm just kidding.
She is Ashy. She is Ashy. Ashley. But yeah, you don't get to see those things. And that's unfortunate because it kind of looks like I was on an island by myself. But I was trying to get to know them. I mean, I remember during filming Giselle Lost Power, and I text her and I say, you know, if you want to come over to take a bath or do any of that stuff, please feel free, bring your kids. You know, invited Wendy to lunch with me so that we could hash out things on our own. I mean, gave Ashley a toolbox and said, look, I want to build a bridge to getting to know you. Like, I did the work. And that's why you see me feel so kind of really hurt at the mean girl antics and really the rejection when, to me, I've not done anything but act human, which is respond when someone is unkind to me. You know, and the funny thing is that Giselle, Ashley, and Wendy actually called me on FaceTime. And Giselle says, how are you doing? What's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. Why wouldn't I be okay? And she's leading up to trying to find out what's happening with me. But then I see this other scene where they're sitting around kikiing, and apparently Wendy knows this mystery realtor that I work with.
So you know who the realtor is that she...
This is an interesting portion of the story. I feel like, because this particular part, guys, you do not see until this week's episode. If you saw the preview for next week's episode, then you see basically that the evidence, the more information that Giselle claims that she has, is what Wendy revealed a couple of episodes ago, that she spoke to a realtor, and the realtor said that Angel wanted a place that looked like it was $50,000, but she was only willing to pay like $2,000 to $3,000. And a lot of you were saying, well, if any of that information is true, then that real estate agent is going to be in big trouble.
Talking about.
Yes.
Do you believe that realtor really said that?
She didn't. I talked to her. And see, that's what she didn't anticipate because she doesn't know
they
the
wanted you to
relationships.
call on the spot,
yeah,
too.
But if you notice, Wendy immediately pipes up and says, Stacey, you didn't want to call TJ at the reunion, did you? And I'm like, oh, okay, this didn't really happen. So when I talked to my friend, mind you, I've known this woman longer than Wendy has. She's an award-winning realtor. And she said, first of all, I would not put my career reputation on the line by discussing a client's needs or wants with Wendy. And number two, this conversation didn't happen.
Because that's not fair, because it also made her seem unprofessional. That was also what type of unprofessional realtor
exactly would
go
talk
around
about your business and with a commission on the line. You know what I mean? So I just feel, and larger than a commission, a reputation.
It's a new year, and I bet you have new ideas or a new plan or new goals for yourself. Well, Wix.com has got you covered when it comes to your website. Years ago, one of my very first websites was built by Wix.com. And even back then, I was like, they make it so easy to build your own website. Because I can tell you this already, I've paid lots of money before to have my website built by other people. Wix makes it easy for you, the everyday person that doesn't really understand how building a website happens. Wix makes it so easy, especially with some of their AI tools. So when I started my podcast and YouTube channel, I didn't know what I was getting myself into at all. Back then, we didn't have AI. It was just me, myself, and I doing every single thing. If I could go back in time, if I was starting my business today, I use Wix. There's so many really cool options that Wix has now available to you. You can create a website your way, whether you want to have AI to jump in or you prefer to do it yourself. Use the AI when you want or how you want. You can customize any detail with the most flexible website editor out there. Rest easy knowing that your Wix site is backed by 99.99 uptime and enterprise-grade security. No add-ons required. Built so that you can own your individuality, create freely, and scale fearlessly. As I mentioned before, they have really cool AI capabilities. Wix is packed with some of the coolest, most useful AI features and agents built specifically for SMB so that you can grow your business without burning out. And that is a powerful statement. Generate unlimited images, website sections, product descriptions, and more. Automate email marketing, SEO tasks, inventory management, and more. Enjoy easy, fuss-free domain registration, web hosting also included. Powered by 280 plus million businesses around the world. They're not new to this. They're true to this. Start delivering AI solutions way before it was cool. Wix has been pioneering in website tech for almost 20 years. Sign up for free at Wix.com. That's Wix.com. Head on over to the description for more details. So, look, a lot of the explanations that I've seen that she's mentioned in other interviews, they do make sense. They do make sense. But some people say that Angel is just not made for reality television. Some people say that Angel is too sensitive for reality television. We shall see. It really will depend. And a lot of people that have seen her interviews this week are saying, well, I hope she brings the same sort of energy to the reunion. Speaking of the reunion, let's get into the seating chart. So I started this off by letting you guys know that Karen Huger makes a surprise appearance at the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. I don't think it's that much of a surprise because we already knew via the mid-season trailer that they're doing a sit-down with Karen. They are following her as she gets out of jail. So I wasn't completely surprised. I'm actually really excited now to see the reunion. If anything, this makes me even more excited because, and I know some of you are like, well, shouldn't the Wendy of it all be the most exciting part? Well, yeah, but how much is Wendy going to say? This situation, this insurance case hasn't even gone to trial yet. So I think what we're going to get from Wendy during this reunion is very much what she gave us during BravoCon. She can't talk about this and that these are just allegations. So I really do not expect Wendy to say much of anything. But that did still secure Wendy a seat next to Andy. And I know some of you that might be new to the Housewives things, you're like, why does it matter? It really shouldn't matter. But let me tell you this. Based off of what I've heard from behind the scenes from different cities, it matters to the Housewives. It may not matter to myself. It may not matter to you. However, to these Housewives and to production, they do that intentionally. And a lot of times the person sitting next to Andy Cohen probably had the toughest season or is about to have the toughest season. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So let's take a look at the seating chart. And I think this might be the first time ever where they've done a video for the seating chart because I've been waiting all day. I was like, Andy posted that he's doing the reunion today. So where is the seating chart? So finally, they released the seating chart this evening, and they did it in video form. I wanted to show it to you, and then we're going to break down and react to this seating chart. Hold on. Okay, so let's react to this seating chart. Let me fast forward it so we can get to everyone that's here. And for those that are watching this, please feel free to let me know if you think that they got it right when it comes to where everyone is sitting. I don't think anyone is surprised that Stacey Rush is sitting next to Andy. She had probably the toughest season because every single person on this cast. I'm actually surprised, though, that Ashley is sitting next to Stacey. But who would sit next to Stacey if Wendy wasn't sitting next to Andy? Because I honestly thought that Stacey would be sitting next to Andy, and at the very least, that Wendy would be sitting next to Stacey because they've been ride or die this season. But now I'm looking at a theme here, though. Because Stacey and Wendy, because usually sometimes you see people sitting across from each other that are battling. No, Stacey and Wendy are cool. Giselle and Ashley are cool. Tia and Kiarna are cool. And I think the rest don't really matter. Okay? So Wendy and Stacey sit next to Andy Cohen. Stacey, obvious because of the tough season and everyone coming after her. It will be interesting to see how this interaction between Ashley and Stacey will go during the reunion. Honestly, I think I probably would switch. I probably would. Oh no, now I know why they didn't switch. Because now I think about it, because Ashley couldn't sit next to Wendy because remember what happened right after she was arrested. And since then, Ashley's done interviews and says, my apology really was for our children, not for Wendy. So that's probably why Giselle and this newfound friendship that Wendy and Giselle have. Tia, who was brought on by Giselle, sitting next to her. Monique is sitting there as, she's a friend of. Okay, on the other side, Kiarna is there. Okay, I think even if they put Kiarna at the end, Angel's technically at the end, and then Jazzy's all the way down. But Jazzy's just a friend of. Okay? Let's take a look. Karen Huger, obviously, when she comes out, Jazzy's gone. Oh, damn, Jazzy, they got rid of you. Do you think that this is a setup for Monique to come back full-time next season? I don't think Monique wants to get full-time. She might want that full-time check. Yes, that Bravo check. But I don't think she wants full-time. Because then she's going to have to share more of her life. And then that makes her more of target for like a Giselle or Ashley to come for her. So, but they keep her out there because, let's be honest, she's one of the people that have been there since Karen's been there as well. So it makes sense for her to still be out there. But Jazzy isn't. Oh, sorry, Jazzy. I think Jazzy, if they're going to bring anyone back of the friend does, I think Jazzy has good potential. I do. I definitely think. I'm not sure if I want to make her full-time just yet, but I definitely think she has potential. I would bring her back over Kiarna and Angel, to be honest. To be honest, I would bring her back. She's more fun. She seems like she gets along with mostly everyone. And I think she'll be able to move on. And I just think she'll be a lot more fun. Get rid of Angel and Kiarna and just bring back Jazzy, if I'm going to be honest with you. And now the fact that they're bringing back Karen Huger, that means the budget is not as big as it used to be, y'all. Just keep that in mind. Think about the budget. So Karen is sitting next to Andy, obviously. Karen hasn't always sat next to Andy, but for probably the majority of the reunions, she's definitely sat next to Andy. And even when she wasn't there last time, they put the picture right next to Andy. So Karen is going to make a surprise appearance. It will be interesting if they kind of go back to some of the things that she said from season 9 to address those things. I'm not surprised that she's there. I think it's perfect that she's there. This is going to make me more interested in watching this reunion. Do you think they'll bring her out in part 2, part 3? What dare I say, part 1? I don't see them bringing her out in part 1. I think they will focus a lot on what's happened during season 10 and then bring her out maybe late in part 2 as a sort of like a to be continued. You know they love a good to be continued on RHOP. And I'm not saying that it's actually good. They just love using a to be continued. So I could see them doing that, bring her out in part 2, at the end of part 2, and then she'll be in part 3. I'm actually interested in to see what the rest of the season is going to be like. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Interesting. Do you think that they got this seating chart right, y'all? I think that they did, to be honest. I think Wendy had a really good season. Stacey, despite everyone coming at her, had a really good season, and she really rose to the occasion this season.
That's sad.
It's horrible. But still I rise, and I'll be all right.
And Karen, obviously, when she comes out, should be sitting right next to Andy, because Karen is Karen. The Grand Dame is back. Are you happy about that? Some of you have said that you haven't really missed Karen during the season, But I've told you the tea on the street is that the cast felt like they did when they were filming the season because they felt like a lot of the other newbies were lackluster. You literally hear Giselle say that during the after show. We shall see. We shall see. Guys, as always, if you haven't already, go get your tickets for the Kempire After Dark live show. We'll be talking about things like this and so much more at the Kempire After Dark. One night only here in New York City on Friday, March 13th at the Green Room 42. In-person tickets, meet and greet tickets are available, and live stream tickets are available for those that want to watch from across the country or around the world. More information on that will be available in the description.
Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for more information on the podcast, head on over to KempireRadio.com.